The Atlantic Wall is one of the most intriguing and mysterious military fortifications in history. It was built by Nazi Germany during World War II to defend occupied Western Europe from an anticipated Allied invasion. Stretching from the coast of Norway in the north to the Spanish border in the south, the Atlantic Wall was a massive defensive system designed to repel an amphibious assault, which the Nazis expected would be the main way the Allies would attempt to reclaim Europe from Axis control. But while its purpose was clear, defense against the Allies, the mystery behind the Atlantic Wall lies in its scale, complexity, the intentions behind its construction, and the unexpected features that have raised questions for historians, archaeologists, and military experts alike. Let's explore the mysteries and key details surrounding the Atlantic Wall. 1. The construction of the Atlantic Wall. Origins and decision to build. The Atlantic Wall was conceived by Adolf Hitler and the German High Command after the fall of France in 1940. Following the stunning victory of the Nazi forces in Western Europe, Hitler became concerned that the Allied powers, particularly the United Kingdom and the United States, would launch a counteroffensive to recapture the continent. The decision to fortify the western coastline of Europe was formalized by Hitler in 1942, after the German defeat at the Battle of Stalingrad in early 1943. The defeat was a critical turning point for the Third Reich, and the Allies' increasing success in the air and at sea made the prospect of an invasion seem more imminent. Hitler's directive for the Atlantic Wall was that it should stretch across the entire western coast, from Norway in the north, through France, the Low Countries, and Germany, down to the Spanish border in the south. The wall would be composed of a variety of fortifications, including bunkers, anti-tank barriers, artillery positions, and minefields. 2. The wall's structure and design. The Atlantic Wall was not a singular structure but rather a vast network of defensive positions and fortifications designed to thwart a possible amphibious landing. It was made up of multiple layers of defense, ranging from simple obstacles to complex military complexes. Key components. Bunkers and pillboxes. The most iconic part of the Atlantic Wall is the large network of bunkers, concrete defensive structures, and pillboxes, smaller fortifications that housed machine guns, anti-tank guns, and other artillery. These bunkers were designed to withstand artillery bombardments and were typically reinforced with thick concrete walls and steel reinforcements. Concrete tetrahedrons and tank obstacles. The wall also included concrete tetrahedrons, large pyramid-shaped obstacles, and tank traps to impede the movement of Allied armor. These were scattered along beaches, often in combination with barbed wire and minefields. Anti-aircraft guns. Anti-aircraft positions were also placed along the wall to protect against aerial attacks. German radar stations were built to detect incoming aircraft, and heavy anti-aircraft guns were stationed along key points to shoot down Allied bombers and fighters. Coastal guns. Coastal artillery pieces, many of them large caliber, were strategically placed to defend key beaches and ports. These guns had the range to target enemy ships approaching the coast. Sea and land mines. The Germans planted large numbers of sea mines in the waters off the coast, designed to destroy or damage any Allied vessels attempting to land. On land, mines were also used to create dense fields of danger for advancing forces. 3. The mystery of its purpose and effectiveness. While the Atlantic Wall was built with a clear purpose, defend against an Allied invasion, the effectiveness of the wall and its true strategic importance have been a matter of debate among historians. Some aspects of its construction and the overall strategy behind it remain enigmatic. Overestimation of its effectiveness. Hitler's overconfidence. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Atlantic Wall is the belief held by Hitler and the Nazi High Command that it would make a successful Allied invasion nearly impossible. Hitler considered the wall as the ultimate barrier to any amphibious assault on Europe. Yet, many of the fortifications were poorly designed and inadequately manned, leaving large gaps in its defensive capabilities. Misallocation of resources. Despite the grand vision of the Atlantic Wall, its actual construction was fragmented. The Nazis overestimated the threat of an invasion and focused too heavily on static defenses, while neglecting mobile defenses and sufficient manpower. As a result, large portions of the wall were poorly constructed and left vulnerable to attack. The wall's limited scope, the defenses built were often concentrated along only the northern and western coasts of France, with particularly heavy fortifications in areas like Normandy. However, large portions of the coast, including in Brittany, Spain, and Italy, were far less fortified. It's also worth noting that the southern coast of France was largely under Vichy control until 1942, leaving it less defended. The mystery of the impossibility of the invasion. Despite the wall's formidable appearance, the actual invasion of Normandy, D-Day, June 6, 1944, was far less difficult than Hitler anticipated. The Allies, underestimating the wall's overall strength, chose to land in Normandy because it was less heavily defended compared to other beaches, such as the Pas de Calais. The Normandy beaches were heavily mined, and there were multiple bunkers, but the Allies succeeded by using deception tactics, overwhelming air and naval bombardment, and making use of their superior numbers and logistics. Operation Fortitude, the Allied deception operation, misled the Germans into thinking the main invasion would occur at Pas de Calais, the shortest point between Britain and France. As a result, the Nazis stationed most of their troops far from the landing zones, creating a significant gap in the defenses that the Allies exploited. 4. The mystery of its abandonment and legacy. After the failure of the Atlantic Wall to stop the D-Day landings, much of the fortification system fell into disrepair or was dismantled. By the end of the war, the Nazis had been pushed out of France, and the Allied forces had liberated much of Western Europe. Abandoned and forgotten defenses. In the years following World War II, many of the bunkers and fortifications that comprised the Atlantic Wall were left abandoned. Some were repurposed or destroyed by local populations, while others were submerged in the shifting tides of history. Today, many of the surviving structures are remnants of a forgotten past, standing as eerie monuments to the failed defense of the Nazi regime. While some sections of the wall are preserved as historical sites or museums, other areas are hidden away or repurposed for civilian use. The Normandy region of France, where the most famous D-Day landings took place, has preserved many of its fortifications, which can still be visited by tourists today. Secrets beneath the surface. There remain mysteries about the full extent of the Atlantic Wall. Archaeologists and historians continue to study the underground bunkers, secret tunnels, and hidden rooms that were part of the wall's design. Some historians believe that there may still be undiscovered fortifications, particularly in remote coastal regions of Europe. Additionally, there are rumors of hidden German treasures, weapons caches, or even mysterious documents that may still be buried in the walls, especially in the more remote areas of the coast. Some of the Nazi plans for the Atlantic Wall were so secretive that many details about the wall's intended purpose and exact construction timeline remain classified or were destroyed by the Germans as they retreated. 5. The myth and legend of the Atlantic Wall. Over time, the Atlantic Wall has become a symbol of Nazi hubris and the folly of overconfidence. It was portrayed in post-war media as an impenetrable defense line, the ultimate obstacle to an Allied victory. However, as military historians and modern experts have pointed out, the wall was riddled with gaps, weaknesses, and strategic oversights. Myths. The invincibility of the wall. The myth of the Atlantic Wall's invincibility is still present in some wartime literature and movies. The idea that it was an invulnerable defensive line fed into the Nazi propaganda machine during the war. In reality, the fortifications were often incomplete and poorly manned, and many of the German troops who were stationed there were inexperienced or poorly trained. Hidden treasures and secret plans. Numerous myths surround the idea that the Germans left behind secret plans, treasure hoards, or even underground tunnels in the remnants of the wall. These stories have sparked interest in treasure hunters and conspiracy theorists, although there is little concrete evidence to support such claims. Conclusion: the enduring legacy of the Atlantic Wall. The Atlantic Wall serves as a reminder of both the overconfidence of the Nazi regime and the resilience of the Allies. Despite its grand scale and the initial fear it instilled, the Atlantic Wall was ultimately a failed defense that couldn't stop the Allied invasion of Europe. Today, it is seen not just as a military relic but as a symbol of the changing tides of war, a testament to the unpredictability of history, and a mystery that continues to fascinate historians and visitors alike. Its remnants still dot the European coastline, holding secrets, lessons, and echoes of a world at war.